I'm sure that you guys by now have all seen the picture. You know what one I'm talking about. This one. It really got me thinking. Kobbie Mainoo was simply unbelievable under Erik ten Hag in what was ultimately a slightly flawed system. Now imagine how good he could be under Ruben Amorim if the system is better and suits the players more. Well, I tell you what, if you subscribe to the channel right now, you won't have to imagine any longer, because I'll just tell you how good he is going to be and how he will work in this team. So have you subscribed? Surely you must have done by now. Okay, let's get into the video. So we're going to start off with the literal position and role that Kobbie Mainoo will most likely play under Ruben Amorim. And it will very much be the left-sided central midfielder, the linking midfielder. This player is responsible for doing, to be honest, quite a lot of work. Sometimes dropping a little bit deeper into these positions, forming a double pivot in the midfield, getting on the ball and looking to make things happen, playing through the first phase. In the next moment, we will see this midfielder more involved in progressive play. That could be via the carry through the middle of the pitch, dribbling past central midfielders, or progressive passing through the lines, into one of the inside forwards, or perhaps into the striker. And then, even if the midfielder has done all that, their job still isn't done, because they then need to get into the final third and genuinely provide a little bit of creativity and a sort of link point in the attacking third of the pitch. We have seen all of this at Sporting. We have seen one of the midfielders dropping a little bit deeper to try and get on the ball. We have also seen this left-sided midfielder picking up the ball and dribbling past players in the middle of the park, making some of them look fairly silly actually. And we have also seen this midfielder responsible for getting into the final third and being a creative outlet. One of the best examples of this under Ruben Amorim's tenure was actually Matheus Nunes, a player that became so good at this role that Pep Guardiola eventually said this. Now, of course, when Pep says things like this, we have to take it with a pinch of salt because he does tend to overhype opposition players. But generally speaking, Pep Guardiola recognised that Matheus Nunes had become a wonderful player. And I tell you what, if we take Nunes' data MB report from that season and then compare it to Kobbie Mainoo's data MB report so far this season, they're actually pretty similar, and Kobbie Mainoo is actually overperforming. He's doing better than Nunes in almost every area except ball carrying. And to be honest, I'm not too worried about that. I'm pretty confident that Kobbie Mainoo will improve his ball carrying because we have seen so many glimpses of it. His dribbling is phenomenal in the middle of the park. What I love about it is the way that he uses both feet to really antagonise the opposition. He's going to bring midfielders close to him, manipulate them closer to the ball, and then burst past them with some really beautiful footwork at times. You can see it here against Liverpool. Taking a touch with his left foot, that keeps one opponent away from the ball. Then the next touch, however, is with the right foot. Although, granted, you can't see it particularly well in that picture, but you get the idea. He's dribbling with both feet, and it allows him to burst into positions like this, moving forward, driving forward through the middle of the pitch. But not only driving forward, kind of gliding past these players. He makes it look really easy, at times effortless, and it's very similar to what Nunes was doing with Sporting. And this isn't the first time Kobbie's done this. I mean, we've seen it time and time again. It's the ability to change the tempo of a match with the ball at his feet. He doesn't have to pass it to someone else. He can do it himself. You can see it here. A relaxed body language as the ball comes towards him. What he's going to do is take the first touch with this foot here, and then he's going to push the ball forward with his right foot. Really push the ball past the opposition. And again, that allows him to burst. It changes the tempo of a game completely, and will often lead to fouls like this. Not only can Kobbie Mainoo do the sort of dribbling and ball carrying job that we were speaking about with Sporting, but also the passing side of the game as well. And the reason why I think he can do this is because he is an intelligent player. A player that plays with his head up. He is constantly scanning around the pitch, so he knows where his teammates are. 9 times out of 10, he knows where the pass is. And it allows him to pull off passes a little bit like this, in behind for the winger on the far side. It's a lovely pass for the player to run onto. But we have also seen more subtle passes like this. Again, he's getting his head up, he's looking for a teammate. And that means as he draws these opposition players in towards him, he can then wrap this ball forward through the lines. And he's going to take out 5 or 6 Liverpool players here with just one pass to get Scott McTominay into a really good position. It's great passing play from Kobbie Mainoo. He's tying up and linking and connecting the whole thing together. And that's exactly what Ruben Amorim will want. But like I said earlier, he'll also want something in the final third as well. But don't worry, Kobbie's got it covered. Now these next couple of clips, I probably don't need to remind you about them because you can probably remember where you were when you watched them. It's some really special play in the final third. The first one's against Liverpool when it's all about manipulating the ball, taking Liverpool players on, driving into the penalty area and being a massive threat in the final third of the pitch. I mean, it's just beautiful the way that he does this. The disguise that he plays with. He shapes as though he's going to play inside and then he dribbles down the line, change of direction, completely sells the Liverpool defenders a dream, gets towards the byline and then cuts the ball back. It's really good play. I also love this one here as well. This one's a bit more about combination work, 1-2s in and around the final third of the pitch. So he plays the pass into Wan-Bissaka in the box. Wan-Bissaka plays the ball back to him. You can see it here, the 1-2 has been completed. Kobbie Mainoo then goes round and then plays the ball back again. Again, it's really good linking play. And I mean, the final bit in this game is that. It's not bad, is it? We all remember that performance. He was special that day against Liverpool, but this wasn't his only moment. For example, there was that amazing goal against Wolves. Kobbie Mainoo is really effective in the final third. And I genuinely believe that he can play this role that Ruben and Amorim will want from him. I think the one area where he might need a little bit of development on the ball would be his passing. Ruben Amorim doesn't necessarily rely upon a high volume midfielder as such with his passing, or certainly he hasn't done in the past, but I think it will always help a player develop if they can solve problems with greater passing. We've seen a couple of examples of it there, where he's done it well, but I think he needs a bit of work, a bit of improvement. It's, certainly not a strength of his. But if he can improve in that area, Kobbie Mainoo in possession can be the perfect connecting midfielder for Ruben Amorim. He's almost handcrafted for this role. It really is perfect. And he's also not bad from a defensive point of view as well. Now, once again, if we go back and look at Ruben Amorim's defensive side of the game from his time with Sporting, we will see that his left-sided midfielder had a slightly different role to the one on the right-hand side. You see, his left-sided midfielder was sort of the one that was responsible for engaging and sort of initiating the press in midfield. So the right-sided midfielder would sit a little bit deeper. We discussed that the other day with Ugarte. Go check out that video if you want. But the left-sided midfielder was therefore the one that engaged a little bit higher and would often go man-to-man with the opposition. And I think a lot of people have questions over Kobbie Mainoo, whether or not he can do this. Do I think Kobbie Mainoo is a perfect, intense man-to-man pressing player? No, I probably don't. I think he needs a bit of work here, coaching on the way that he runs and things like that. However, if we look at this from a statistical point of view, his defensive numbers so far this season have been an absolute joke. So is Kobbie Mainoo a weakness in a high press? Absolutely not. And particularly as that first player that goes into midfield, really simplifying his role. From a tactical point of view, he's just got to pick up one player. Tactically, that is massively simplified for him, and it allows him to go after that man, and we've seen him win the ball in these areas before. So I think Kobbie will be absolutely fine in Ruben Amorim's pressing system, but where I think he could really shine is more in the mid-block. And the reason for this is simply because it will reduce the spaces that he has to cover. If we get him into these positions, so let's move the whole team a little bit deeper. Let's say we're in more of a 3-4-3, we're letting the opposition have the ball, we're letting them move forward with it. And basically, we're sitting off, compacting our shape a little bit like this, waiting for them to play into midfield. That's where we're going to nick the ball and kind of trap them, and then overturn possession and quickly attack. Now, if we compare that to what Kobbie Mainoo was doing under Erik ten Hag, is quite different. Kobbie Mainoo, prior to his injury, had covered more ground than any other Manchester United player. Now, considering I'm saying this is a player who isn't the most intense, that doesn't really make a lot of sense. Ruben Amorim's system will suit him a lot more because it will be more compact. He won't be dragged into these wide positions anywhere near as regularly. And what does that mean? Well, if he is doing less defensive actions, it should mean, in theory, that each defensive action he does do should be completed with a greater intensity. And that's exactly what we want from this young man. We want him to be a bit more intense with his work off the ball. If we can reduce the ground that he has to cover, he should be able to do that. And then, the potential to transition from that position is really quite exciting. We know that Ruben Amorim loves his sides to quickly attack the opposition when they win the ball back. Quick turnovers in the middle of the park and then driving forward. Manchester United at the moment probably lack players that can carry the ball in the middle of the pitch. Bruno Fernandes isn't really a ball carrier. Players like that. Kobbie Mainoo is. Kobbie Mainoo really could be the driving force for Ruben Amorim's transitioning system. And again, Kobbie will have more license to do this in the new shape. Having these 5 defenders behind him will mean that when he wins the ball back, he's got that bit of license to go and be a bit more expressive. And when you have a ball carrier in transition, it really makes life difficult for the opposition because they don't know if they're meant to go towards you and close you down, but potentially leave someone else free, or whether they're meant to sit off that player, but then you're able to drive forward. Kobbie Mainoo will be the perfect player to exploit that. And all round. Those of you that have been on the channel for a while now will know how much I love this guy. I think he's a wonderful young footballer. I think we're so lucky to have him at the club. But it is also, of course, thanks to the work of the club and his development. It's gone really well so far. The injury has been a shame, but perhaps it's a good thing for him to have a bit of time off. Hopefully, as long as we don't rush him back, he can come back, physically be ready. And technically and tactically, I really think he will flourish under Ruben Amorim. I think the manager will absolutely love him. And that hug we saw the other day, I think we're going to see a lot more of it over the next couple of years, because these two should be a match made in heaven. But those are just my thoughts. Just my opinions, just my observations on what I've seen of Rúben Amorim of Sporting, Kobbie Mainoo so far in his career. I think it will work. Do you guys though? Let me know in the comments down below. Where do you think Kobbie Mainoo will really flourish? Where do you think he'll shine? And what parts of his game do you think need a bit more work? Like I said, for me, it's probably defensive intensity, but also passing volume. Apart from that, I really like him. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. But apart from that, we are finished for today. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you have enjoyed it. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.